Here's an intriguing tale. The sun hung low over the horizon, painting the sea in a warm shimmer of gold and green. Waves lapped lazily at the rotting pilings of the old pier, their rhythm almost soothing, almost. But nothing in Blacktooth Cove was ever truly safe, and every sailor worth his salt knew it. At the far end of the pier, where the moss-eaten planks creaked like bones underfoot, lay the wreck of the Sea Wraith. She had been a grand galleon once, proud and feared, her black sails cutting through storms like a knife through flesh. Now she leaned drunkenly on the rocks, her hull shattered and her mast tangled with seaweed. Her carcass was a playground for gulls, and yet some said her crew still lingered in ways that defied nature. It was there that the barrel waited. At first glance, it seemed just another piece of driftwood or cargo washed ashore, a weathered cask bound with iron bands, a thick coil of rope resting lazily atop it. But anyone who lingered too long would notice the wrongness. The wood pulsed ever so slightly, as if it breathed. The rope twitched like a sleeping snake, and if you dared to lean close enough, you'd hear it, wet, labored breathing from deep within. The fishermen of the cove called it the tongue. Legends whispered that the barrel had once been a chest of gold, cursed by the pirate king Harrigan himself. Harrigan had been no ordinary plunderer. He was a warlock, a man who carved his bargains in blood and sealed them with the sea's own salt. When his ship was cornered by the Royal Navy and escape seemed impossible, he made a final pact with the abyss. His treasure would never fall into another man's hands. The sea answered. When the cannons roared and Sea Wraith went under, the chest did not sink. Instead, it rose to the surface, warped and alive, sprouting teeth where its hinges had been, and a tongue that lashed like a kraken's tentacle. Harrigan's spirit, some say, was bound inside it, eternally hungry, forever guarding what was his. For decades, it drifted from shore to shore, luring the greedy and the foolish. Those who reached for it vanished without a scream, swallowed whole in the space of a heartbeat. The barrel would sit silently afterward, as if nothing had happened, its tongue tasting the air for the next morsel. And so the story passed from tavern to tavern, a warning to any who heard it. Don't go to Blacktooth Cove, don't look for the barrel, don't touch the treasure. Stay safe, stay sane. But sometimes curiosity outweighs caution, and sometimes desperation outweighs both. One evening, when the tide was low and the wreck's shadows stretched long over the pier, a man named Elias Crow came to Blacktooth Cove. He was no ordinary traveler. His coat was patched with a dozen foreign flags, and a cutlass with a ruby pommel hung at his side. His eyes had the hungry gleam of someone who had gambled much and lost more. He had heard the stories in a tavern 3 ports away. A barrel that could eat a man, yes, but also one that still guarded Harrigan's gold. Sailors spoke of it with fear, but Elias only heard the promise of riches. The locals tried to dissuade him. Old Marlowe, the dockmaster, spat into the water and said, "Son, that thing don't kill for hunger, it kills because it can." Harrigan's soul is in there, twisted and bitter. Ain't no gold worth crossing him. Elias smiled, the way desperate men do when they've already decided their fate. Gold's gold, old man. And every curse has a loophole. So saying, he left the safety of the town, crossed the groaning pier, and approached the barrel. He waited until dusk, when the sea turned the color of old pewter and the gulls had gone silent. With slow, measured steps, Elias walked the pier toward the wreck. The air grew colder the closer he came, and the smell of salt was cut with something fouler like rotting meat left too long in the sun. The barrel sat at the pier's edge, half in shadow. It looked so ordinary that for a moment, Elias almost doubted the tailies. Then he saw it, the twitch of the rope, the slight parting of wooden slats to reveal the glint of wet, curved teeth. The tongue uncoiled. It was not the small, stubby organ of a human mouth, but a monstrous thing long, slick, and ending in a forked tip that darted through the air like a serpent testing the wind. It reached toward him, tasting his scent, and Elias felt the hair rise on his arms, but he stood his ground. Elias had not come unprepared. From his satchel, he withdrew a pouch of powdered silver, stolen from a church altar. He scattered it in a circle around himself, chanting words he had bought from a half-mad witch in a portside alley. The barrel froze, tongue hovering, as if listening. "I know who you are, Harrigan," Elias said, voice steady. "And I know you're trapped. I can free you." The tongue stilled. The lid of the barrel creaked open wider, revealing 2 rows of jagged teeth slick with saliva. A sound emerged, not quite a voice, not quite a growl. It was the creak of wood under strain, the groan of a ship's hull in deep water. "Free me," it said, "and the gold is yours." Elias grinned. "Tell me how." "You must feed me," the voice rumbled, the heart of a living sailor, one bound by the sea, one who fears it still. Just beyond the reach of the tongue, old Marlowe shivered and took a step back, but Elias Crow, his face pale, stepped forward. "I have just the man," he said, and laid a hand on the old man's shoulder. Marlowe yelped, struggling against Elias's grip, but the young man held firm. Don't do this," the old man stammered. He'll kill us both." "Hush," Elias hissed, his eyes glittering with excitement. "You'll be rich, you and your family for generations." He dragged Marlowe to the edge of the circle, ignoring the old man's screams. "Please, please," he begged. "Don't feed it with my heart." Elias Crow ignored him. He scrambled onto the barrel, ignoring the teeth that snapped shut inches from his face. The tongue flicked out, coiling around Marlowe's waist like a constrictor. The old man screamed once before the barrel swallowed him whole. The lid slammed shut, the tongue retreated, and the gold spilled out onto the slats of the barrel, glinting in the moonlight. Elias stared, mesmerized, then dove into the pile, laughing. He stuffed handfuls of gold into his pockets, jewels skittering down his wrists, and realized he had never felt so free, so wealthy. Ignoring the protests of his mind, he gathered up his winnings and ran for the safety of the town. Behind him, the barrel shuddered, its dark eye watching him go. In the morning, they found the barrel empty, the gold vanished, and the townspeople never saw Elias Crow again. But occasionally, when the moon is full and the tide is low, the fishermen swear they can hear the muffled cries of old Marlowe, begging for release from the belly of the beast.